Well, hi guys, it's David Drake, aka Dr. Drake 63, coming at you today. Thanks for joining the channel again. Wanted to talk today about a 22 lever action rifle, which is the longest running production rifle in U.S. history. This particular one, by serial number, is dated to 1974. So if you take a close look at it, you're going to see that there's no cross bolt safety. There's no printing or stamping on the barrel that tells you to refer to an owner's manual. In fact, the safety on this is a simple half cock. Can't pull the trigger in the half cock position. So my view on safeties has always been the best safety in the world is knowing the condition of your gun, assuming it's loaded, and keeping your finger off the trigger. But obviously lawyers feel we need more than that. But this particular firearm is back from the heyday of Marlin. It was a 22 that had a side loading gate. And it took them about a year or two to figure out that that wasn't real super practical for the size of the 22 cartridge. They went to a tube. This particular magazine right here, tube magazine, will hold 19 rounds of 22 long rifle. It holds something in the neighborhood of 29 rounds of 22 short. So with a 24-inch barrel, and there are some other configurations I'll show you in a minute. Actually, I'll show you right now. The Mountie was a very popular alternative, shorter barreled rifle, 20 inches with a straight stock, very desirable. These are purported to be accurate beyond belief. A lot of people say that this firearm is the best 22 lever action ever made. All I can say this particular one is back when they knew how to blue. You can just see how beautiful this is in terms of the bluing. There's not a single blemish anywhere on this barrel. Tiny bit of wear on the wood grain, but that's about it. So this one is in beautiful condition, and I was able to get this for a good price. I don't want to say I stole it, but I was able to get this for $200 or $300 under what the market would be on one in this condition. As I said, this was originally the 1891. 1892 went to the tube magazine. In I believe it was 26, they changed the designation to the 39A, and it's been running that way ever since. Now, Marlin, obviously was acquired by Remington. At some point in the early 80s, they went to the cross-bolt safety and started, like I said, printing legal messages about owner's manuals and so forth on the barrel. But this pretty much same design. They just don't build them like they used to, and they finally quit a number of years ago producing these because these take some skilled craftsmanship. This isn't something you just CNC machine and crank out the door like so many of today's firearms. Now, having said that, we all know, you should by now, that Marlin has been sold by Remington to Ruger. So what's Ruger going to do with the Marlin name? Are they going to go to investment casting instead of forged receivers? Would they bring something back like the 39A? I don't think so, okay? Certainly not like this 39A, because they're not going to put that kind of money. They don't have the skilled craftsmen to do that. Maybe they'll come out with a version of it, but I'm not sure. But they obviously got into the lever action line for the reason, and I love lever actions. In fact, I've done a number of videos on lever actions, and let me show you a few of those. So the first lever action I ever owned was this Marlin 336. It was a late 80s production. I also had an 1895 big loop lever in 4570. The Henry 22 carbine is a fun little shooter. It's small, compact, and great for kids. Also great and fun and accurate just to shoot for adults. Speaking of Henry, I also owned the Golden Boy in 357 Magnum /38, and a beautiful looking gun. I wasn't super impressed with how smooth the action was on this one. and didn't hang on to it too long. Maybe the best lever gun I've ever owned was this Uberti replica of the 1873 Winchester. Just an absolutely wonderfully made gun, very accurate. Did a shooting video on it as well, and surprisingly, the most watched video out of all of my videos is popping the side plate off of this and looking inside, which is kind of interesting. Had a 52 Marlin 336, which was a waffle top, very, very cool rifle. Fortunately, it wasn't very accurate in 30-30. I was surprised by that. Might have been some age issues. One of the more accurates I've ever owned is this 35 Remington 336. This one had peep sights on it and is from the late 60s, back when they still built them well. So you can look through my video catalog and watch videos on all of these. I'm not a lever gun expert, but I've had a few. So this particular rifle has kind of a unique takedown system. I wouldn't call it a takedown rifle as such, say like you would some of the modern takedowns where it's meant to be takedown for travel or to go in a smaller carrying case. But in terms of taking this down to clean it and service it, what you have is a large screw here, which you loosen this up all the way. I'm going to cock this back, and then you'll notice I'm going to give this a little bit of a forward push, and it pops open just like that. Now, you noticed I'm working on a rubber mat, obviously. We don't want this guy to slam down. But this is what you end up with, which I think is really cool. You can see a real good shot of the internals of this side, as well as looking in, and you can see this right here is your bolt, and it slides out just like this. You have the ability to take that out, clean it, service it, and so forth. Your extractor is this piece right here, and we'll do close-ups on these parts in a minute. You can't see it too good, but it's a very simple design, and it's not too much going on. So taking a little bit of a closer look at the internals, you can see this spring here, and this is what your bolt works against. So it's kind of an actuator to keep tension on it, and there's your bore and your internal parts. Not a lot going on this side. However, if we look here, you're going to see your lever, of course, and it basically picks up one round at a time. It advances it to the top. The barrel slides, or the bolt slides forward, chambers the round, you extract, and there you go again. But love looking at stuff like this. Like I said, this is a design that goes back to 1891, guys. So we're 2020. I told you we'd take a closer look at this bolt. You can see your extractor is just basically a kind of a leaf spring that's popped into place. It's not actually a leaf spring. You can see that could probably use a little bit of cleaning there, which we'll do while we have it apart. But it's a very simple system. You can see there's a number stenciled on there, and that does not correspond or have anything to do with the serial number, which I said dates to 1974. They got out of letters, A, B, C, AA, BB, all that, and went to letters at some point in the 60s. But it's cool stuff. I don't know what you guys think about stuff like this, but I love seeing how the internals of a firearm work. I really do. So I've been cleaning these parts. Not too overly dirty, not a lot of wear. But I did want to show you real quick how this lifter works. So you've got the lever in the out position, and then as you pull it back, you can see it raise this part right here. And I've heard this referred to as the lifter. I've heard it referred to as the elevator. But basically, your next round is going to come right in here. And as you push this up, it feeds that into the position so that when you keep going forward, the bolt will also move forward and put the round into the chamber. So very cool, very cool. This one's referred to as the golden, and it's because of the gold trigger, which they did away with in the 80s, and then on the newer productions before they quit, they brought the gold trigger back, but that's why it's referred to as the golden. So guys, you also know that I like to do trigger pull tests to give you an idea what kind of pull weight you got. Very smooth, by the way. After getting this back together and lubing it, it was smooth already, but it's smoother still. Don't know when this thing's been cleaned. Still can't get over this reflection stuff here. Just, it's beautiful. But let's see what kind of pull weight we can get on this trigger. And it comes in right at 5 pounds. Let's check it again. Comes in at 5, right on the nose, twice. But again, I've got kind of a weird angle here where I'm not pulling straight back, so I'm thinking there's a chance this could be more like a 4-pound trigger. That's what it feels like. And again, we don't like to do a lot of dry firing with a 22 rim fire, because what you're doing is slamming your bolt right into the side of the chamber. That's why it's bad. When you dry fire a center fire, the pin's going into nothing, so it's not hurting the pin. But when you hear people say don't dry fire a rim fire firearm, that's why. Doing a little bit is not going to kill it. And you know, sometimes when you're on your last round and you've shot your last round, you don't know that you've done it. Like I said, it's not going to destroy it, but making a practice of it isn't a good idea. But this is very smooth. Just, you know, that's a noise we all like, right? And as I mentioned before, if you want to have a safety, this has a half cock safety. So you just go back to there and nothing's going to happen. So you can see if we cycle it, release it back, and do a half cock, you're good to go. As you can see, it has a very nice hood on the front sight. I've seen peep sights for these. Becoming more and more of a fan of peep sights. However, I would like to point out it is drilled and tapped for a scope. A lot of guys will scope a lever action. I have never and will never, just because of what I use them for, which is open sight shooting. It's fun. And when I get into my deer hunting, I'm typically past 200 yards where I hunt out west. And a lever action, pretty much of any kind other than, I guess, maybe a BLR or some of these new Henrys with the larger calibers, is not super practical. I could see, though, that if your gun is a 30-30, something like that, and you're in a tree stand, you know, low light, you know, we all know as we get older, our eyes aren't quite as good. I could see putting a scope on there, but I don't deer hunt with lever actions. I do, however, love to plink with them. And we're going to show you some shots that we took today, just mostly cycling, and I didn't really work on accuracy too much. Just had a good time with my son, seeing how the gun functions. We did do a little bit of a shoot-off. I had him do it because I trust his shooting, and he did a shoot-off between this particular one and one of the modern Henry rifles. When you think about Henry, they're kind of the standard for 22 lever actions these days. You're not going to get a new model 39A unless you want to spend a ridiculous amount of money. So you either look for an older one, and if you're lucky, you can find one in great condition like this, or you look at some of Henry's offering. I think Henry does quality work. Can Henry make a rifle like this in terms of the fit and the finish and the hand fitting of the parts like they used to do it? No, and they don't. But they do make quality stuff, and I've done some videos on Henry. But let's go take a look at some shooting at the range today, and we'll give you some opinions and come back and wrap up. So we decided to see how this thing could do. So starting out, we're just shooting from the standing position. And right off the bat, I was very pleased with the positive ejection every time. No feeding issues or anything like that. I did short stroke it a few times, but one of the things about these older lever actions, you do need to exercise a little bit more downward motion in the cycling process. But very well balanced firearm, very easy to shoot. And as I mentioned, I do believe it's a little lighter than 5 pounds, but here's my my seated effort after getting a little bit of a sight picture, and I'm happy with that. Then it was my son's turn to shoot. He's going to compare this rifle to his Henry, and as I mentioned, just looking at this in slow motion, the ejection very strong, very positive, and he then loaded up his Henry. For comparison purposes, everything's the same. It's Aquila target ammo. He's doing the same kind of scenario, tube-fed buckhorn sights, and taking his shots with a rifle that he owns and he's much more familiar with. So expectation here is he might shoot the Henry a little bit better than he was able to shoot the 39A, which was new to him. So here's his 39A target at 25 yards, and here's his Henry target at 25 yards. So it's 6.5 pounds. Some people might say this is on the heavy side. I sure don't consider 6.5 pounds heavy. It's got a 24-inch barrel, and that's pretty much where your weight is at. I'm not in a position to tell you that this is the best 22 long rifle lever action ever made. The reason is I haven't shot it enough. But in terms of the way this is put together, I can see why some people make that statement. Marlin sold a couple million of these over the years, so this has been a popular firearm for many, many years. We're in the age of black rifles. Maybe not so much today. Like I said, Henry kind of has the market. We'll see what Ruger does. Will they resurrect this in some form or not? But I'll keep shooting this. We'll do a serious accuracy test in terms of open sight shooting. And we'll tell you what we think. Maybe my dog will have an opinion about that as well. What do you think, Chloe? Yeah. I appreciate you watching today, though. This is Dr. Drake 63 coming at you with another older firearm. They don't make them like they used to, guys. I think this one's beautiful. It's a Marlin 39A from 1974. Thanks for watching. See you soon.